Hello everybody, my name is Juunibug, and if we haven't met before, I'm Juunibug, and if we have met before, I'm still Juunibug. It's nice to meet you, or welcome back to the channel. So if you have followed me on my Twitch channel for any amount of time, which you should totally follow me at twitch.tv/Juunibug, you will have noticed that I have spent the past month and a half streaming Final Fantasy IX. This is a Final Fantasy that was voted in for me to play, and I was quite excited, but also I knew nothing about Final Fantasy IX except for anything that I saw in Dawn Trail in Final Fantasy XIV, as well as the fact of Vivi being a very popular character. Final Fantasy IX came out towards the end of the life cycle of the PlayStation 1, and I heard that Final Fantasy X was already announced, so people are already wanting to play the latest and the greatest. And yet, I heard that Final Fantasy IX is still considered just one of the best. I didn't know why. I'm guessing it was the story. So, as much as I'd love to talk about Final Fantasy IX as a whole, I feel like it would require me to sit and really write down tons of things over my 69 hours of gameplay. Nice. My focus today is going to be on a character that surprised me. As much as I've heard so much Vivi hype, which frankly is quite well deserved, I'm not going to argue against that. I want to talk about Adalbert Steiner, or as I like to call him, Adalbert Eugene Steiner. I gave him the middle name Eugene in my head. And why he surprised me as my favorite Final Fantasy IX character among the entire cast, and is honestly just a standout among just a bunch of other Final Fantasy characters in general. If you like the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Let's go ahead and talk about Steiner. So this is a more informal video. I just have like nowhere to place my feelings except for just like constant screaming and being weird and fangirling about it. So first of all, let's go ahead and state the fact that Final Fantasy IX's aesthetics as a whole is very charming. I was getting kind of Zelda vibes from it. Not that it's like a copy from Zelda, but just the way that Zelda, I feel, creates their characters. They're very memorable, they're very unique. Twilight Princess has these very strange looking characters, but they tend to stick with you. And I feel like 9 was the same way, that they don't look like the characters depicted in 8 or 7. I don't feel like character design always needs to be beautiful or pretty. I feel like they just need to be good and interesting and memorable. And I feel like 9 does a good job. And Steiner, frankly, was one of those characters that stood out. He has a very expressive face. He's got beautiful eyelashes for what reason. He's got funny animations. He's always clanking around. He shakes his fist at people. He's jumping up and down when he gets really upset about things. That just drew me into him. I'm like, what is this guy's problem? He acts like such a boomer at the ripe age of 33. I am 29 at the time of recording this video. And, people are also calling him middle-aged. So, like, what does that mean for me? But let's go ahead and rewind from the beginning. Steiner is just this really uptight, stick-in-his-butt, loyal knight to Alexandria, and he wants to protect the princess, aka Princess Garnet, when she wants to be kidnapped. He's just calling Zidane names. He's very judgmental. It's his way or the highway. We gotta do what's best for the princess. How could you guys be this way? Honestly, I liked him off the bat, and that surprised a lot of people, because people in my chat would come in and say, oh, I didn't really like him in the beginning. I'm not so sure about this. I completely understand. As the story progresses, we see Steiner, his mind has to open, because when you are taught to be a certain way, he has to live by this knight's moral code. He's so devoted to the queen at the time, he just cannot budge. I think what we start to see in Traino, and this is kind of when I was like, oh my gosh, he's just getting better and better, is when he's thinking about, am I doing the best thing for everybody else? He kind of learns that doing the right thing doesn't always mean sticking to the rules, to protect the people that you care about, to preserve peace. And sometimes preserving peace means you gotta make a little bit of noise. You gotta rock the boat a little bit, which I'm sure is a very foreign concept for him comparatively to a thief like Zidane or the Tantalus crew. In the Return to Alexandria, when Princess Garnet, or Dagger, or if you name her like machine gun in your playthrough. I don't even think that's possible. When she gets kidnapped and brought back to Alexandria to have her eidolons extracted from her, you can probably feel the horror of, I've been devoting myself to this cause, but yet the queen and Zorn and Thorn don't even want to protect her. What do I do from here? And when I was going through this, my first thought was, this kind of feels like the thematic of Final Fantasy X, of everybody just being so devoted to Yevon, to wanting to preserve the peace so sin doesn't come back, or how can we atone? Waka really went through that journey in terms of, he was set in his ways of believing in Yevon and all of the religion, and also believing that the Al Bhed were bad people because of what happened with his brother, if I'm remembering that right. I'm a little bit overdue for a Final Fantasy X replay, please don't kill me. I love seeing characters go through that, having their challenges having their beliefs challenged. I think it's something that we can all resonate with. I know for me, it's why Final Fantasy X hit for me, and I think maybe that's why I really appreciate Steiner. The best way to learn about people is to just get to know people. By the end of the game, I think we can all agree that Pandemonium is just one of the best moments in Final Fantasy ever. I was shook. I did not sleep till 4 a.m. because I was just thinking of that scene, and I was just thinking about the music and playing it on repeat on Spotify. But it's really when Steiner comes in and he's like, Zidane, you're being a damn fool. I will never abandon you. And you think about, in the beginning, he would have never done that shit. He was like, fuck this guy. This man is trouble. He is not good enough for Garnet. You are just a bad person and you do all these immoral things as a thief. It's what makes it such a great moment at the end, is that he becomes a reliable comrade to Zidane, and he's even wanting to give Garnet that chance to be with him, to be her own person and to make her own choices, but also like, hey man, you better treat her nice because she really likes you. And I really appreciate that about him. It's just such a beautiful transformation, and I would say probably the best development out of the whole 9 cast. And I feel like even with Zidane, we see one moment of weakness, but his whole thing of, you don't need a reason to help somebody, you see that all the way into the end, even staying with Kuja, even though Kuja did all of these terrible things trying to destroy the world and bring everybody down with him. Steiner, I feel, just had a very long and beautiful slow arc throughout the entire game, and I feel like we see Vivi, and Vivi has such an adorable design. Vivi is this small child that is so naive, doesn't know anything, but I feel like it's so beautiful to see a character who's older, who has this life experience, break out of the norm of what he knew, of what he thought was right, what he thought was wrong, come into his own and just be so much more open. As we grow older, as somebody who's almost in my 30s, it can be so hard to break out of that. So I really appreciate people and characters, even in their older age, even if they're set in their ways, they can move out of it because it's the right thing to do. We're always changing. Life's a long journey and we're always changing, and it's good to change. It's better to change and have it be scary than to stay in the same place forever and ever and ever. So anyways, that's kind of like my little word vomit on Steiner, because I have no idea how to get this out otherwise. It's like my emotional constipation for the day, okay? But anyways, that is pretty much it. I'm sorry if this wasn't the most eloquently worded video. I just had a lot of feelings that I needed to get off of my flat chest. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you like the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Please tell me about your favorite Final Fantasy IX character. I have not played Final Fantasy VIII yet, but someday I will. And then we could talk about the original Final Fantasy 1 through 10, and it's gonna be so much fun to word vomit because I love Final Fantasy. It's been so much fun. But yeah, I will see you guys around. If you love Final Fantasy, I'm shy but willing to talk about Final Fantasy games, if you know what I mean. And I also got this one as well. All right, thank you again for watching. Love you, care you. Have a good rest of your day. Bye bye.